Hi there, I'm Danny, spiritualtherapist.com, and this evening, as you can see on the screen, there are three people with me. Now, they're going to introduce themselves in a moment, but what I want to let you know about these three people on screen is that I love them all very much. I'm incredibly proud of them, and one of the greatest things about each of them is their humbleness and their kindness. They are leaders on this planet. They are gifting information that many other people do not have access to. Here they are on a Sunday night sharing, being with us, bringing as much help and support and information to help us at this time, at this tipping point, at this ascension time on our beautiful planet. So they're going to go around. We're going to start with the man with the white hair and the Christmas jumper, Dr. Michael Salla. He's going to introduce himself. Dr. Michael, good evening, my love.
Thank you, Danny, for inviting me. And I'm really inspired by the prospect that humanity is going to wake up to the truth about extraterrestrial life. It's something that I've been working for the last 20 years, and it is something that I now feel is getting very, very close. There is an awakening happening, and what I'm trying to do is to help people sort out the wheat from the chaff, because there is a lot of disinformation, there is a lot of obfuscation of what's really happening, and there are genuine truth tellers and whistleblowers out there. So I try to really clarify the field and make it easier for people that are new to this, because our planet is a planet that has been denied the truth for many decades, and people are going to suddenly find out that they're going to have to get up to speed on something that is very deep, very complex. And so that's really what drives me to just make it clear for people what is going on.
Thank you, Dr. Michael Salla, and that's indeed a wonderful way to introduce yourself and people to the art of exopolitics if they do not know. And we applaud you for your service, sir. We genuinely do. The next person I'm going to introduce to the screen is Elena Danaan. Good evening, Elena.
Good evening, Danny. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, my love. Can you tell us who you are, who you be, and what you do?
Yes, so many people now know me as a contactee. I started my story by being abducted and then by grace and then rescued by people from the Galactic Federation. I kept contact, and now I pass messages and I do my best with that. That's who I am, archaeologist, artist. That's me.
Mm-hmm. Just to come back to you for a moment more, Elena Danaan, you have actually been somebody who has been able to bring information about your abductions from aliens, from off-planet species, taken by Greys and others, rescued by Pleiadians, who some know as the tall blonde Nordics. Guys, there are new people coming into this information all of the time, and none of us want to assume that you know who these beautiful people are, but you better get a clue because you're going to know. All right, so Elena, back to you very quickly. You are also an author, and your first book, A Gift from the Stars, you actually have drawn and illustrated over 110 off-planet species of brothers and sisters off-planet. Is that not true?
Yes. After my abduction, after the hypnosis session that brought me back one night that had been wiped from my mind, the night of my abduction at 9 years old. After this session, I decided to write a book and tell my story. And as I was doing so, I started receiving information from my protectors and friends upstairs. And it turned out that I ended up writing a repertoire of all the alien races who are interacting with Earth, who have been interacting with Earth since for a long time. So that's what it is about.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. It's helped so many people who've had experiences find a person or a being that they recognize, and your work is absolutely crucial on our planet at this time. Thank you so much, Elena Danaan. Alex Collier, sir, welcome. Please introduce yourself, share who you be, what you do, and who you are.
My name is Alex Collier, as Danny just called me. And I am a shipping clerk and a janitor.
You were going to do that. You naughty man.
And I sweep the floors of a deck on an Andromedan starship, and you know, they keep me out of trouble. I've been a contactee since I was 8 years old, and like Elena and Dr. Salla, I've been following their great works and their lead in trying to awaken so many people, or as many people as possible, to the future that is coming at humanity, whether they're ready for it or not. Mm-hmm. And trying to get as many people prepared and at least open-minded enough to confront the future that is literally upon us. So, and I just want to say that Professor Salla, I absolutely love your Christmas jumper. It's just beautiful. And Elena, that T-shirt, Black League Veteran, oh my God, that's the best. It's absolutely the best. And ladies and gentlemen, the Black League was very real. The Black League was a compendium of different star systems that were fighting the reptilian and the draconians during the Great Orion Wars. And it was called the Black League because they hid in the dark shadows, in the inside planets, behind planets. They never allowed their ships to be seen because it was a stealth battle to do everything we could to slow down the quote unquote Orion Empire. So there's some real truth to it, but a fascinating history, which maybe Miss Danaan would share with everyone later. So, all right, that's all I got.
That's wonderful. And guys, a recap on Alex Collier here. He is seriously very, very humble and not somebody who can shout about his incredible gifts to our planet in disclosure. And his contacts are Andromedans from the Andromedan galaxy. And he has written, he's pulled his hat down. He has written a book, more than one. And there is a library and a plethora of videos that this man has delivered to us for over 30 years. And now he has his YouTube channel up and other channels, and it's Alex Collier Official. And if you wanted an education in the history of Earth, in the history of your planet, I mean the real history, then that is the place to go. Alex Collier Official. Thank you so much, you beautiful three. So we were discussing earlier that we think it's important to share with the beautiful people that actually watch this broadcast, anything that we can right now, up to the minute, on current disclosure, meaning there are so many more people now seeing flying craft, unidentified phenomenon, UFOs, etc. They're discovering that the military have had their own copycat technology for many, many years, but there are actually more benevolent beings coming to the planet to support us in the ascension and the takedown of the governments, of all the dark systems, of all the systems of the top guys who put themselves there. None of us did. None of us put these gazillionaires and these crime families at the top of our, and when I say crime family, I don't mean the mafia, I mean the crime families and all the governments. So they are being taken down, as we are witnessing and seeing. And so more people are now allowed to connect to the light and to see what's right in front of them. Dr. Salla, I'd like to start with you. Would you please share your latest intel on the current disclosure?
Well, what I'm hearing from my sources is that there is a lot happening in terms of agreements that have been reached in space between the major spacefaring nations and the Galactic Federation, and that a lot of that involves advanced technology being made available and being shared between the different nations that are part of this unified space command that has been set up. And I'm getting from one of my sources, JP, who I've had interviewed a couple of times and posted that on my website. I mean, he's saying that the latest thing is that he's been allowed to go into these warehouses where he's seen these jump room technologies that are about to be transported to Ganymede, because the goal is that they want to have these jump rooms facilitating travel between Earth and Ganymede, so that people can, military personnel and equipment and resources can just go back and forth. And, these are the kind of advanced technologies that are now being shared amongst the major nations. And I think this is very promising, because what it means is that the kind of monopolization of advanced technology that has been in play for many decades, because America and the Soviet Union and Russia, and to a lesser extent China, France and Britain, have kind of like had the lion's share of these technologies. But with this space command that's being set up at a unified level, the technology is being shared. And so for a lot of the middle ranking countries like Australia, South Korea, Italy, for them, it's all about releasing these technologies so that they can benefit their peoples. That, they definitely want to expedite this release process. So I imagine probably over the next 5 to 10 years that we're just going to have more and more of these technologies flowing out of these space commands into the public sector, and that'll impact things like transportation. People will be able to kind of like fly from one part of the planet to the other part very quickly, cheaply. Maybe flying cars will be released. Then the health technologies, there'll be advances in those things. So, it's going to be a very exciting time, because I think the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to have a lot of these technologies that have been suppressed for 100 years, kind of like being allowed to come out, like the pressure that has been there by the deep state to keep humanity kind of dumbed down and relying on the fossil fuels. That's going to be lifted, and all of a sudden it's just going to be like, whew, we're going to spring up really quickly, and like a century of suppressed technological development is going to happen in a 10-year, 5 to 10 year period.
Excellent. That's very exciting. And billions of people are definitely in need of this technology that we had since 1900. And as you rightly said, has been suppressed and held from us. Shame on everyone. Shame on you all that kept that technology from humanity. Moving back a little bit, Dr. Salla, I'd like you to please describe, if you can, in a little bit of detail to people that have never heard or don't have a concept of what a jump room actually is, please.
Well, a jump room is a technology where you have a quantum connection between one end and the other end. And either it's a kind of natural phenomenon or it's an artificial phenomenon. So, these jump rooms that my source says that he actually witnessed that are about to be taken to Ganymede, well, you put one end at Ganymede and another end is at some facility. And so that means that between those 2 points, you can actually have instantaneous travel. And so that's the kind of using artificial technologies, the jump gates. There's also portal technology where, you actually have a natural connection between one point and another in space. And I know Alex talked about this. I remember that was probably one of the first times I heard about these portals that could connect one part of the galaxy with another part of the galaxy, and that they've been around for a long time. No one knows who built them. Very advanced technologies. So, we have very different types of jump gates, portals that can do this instantaneous travel from point A to point B using this quantum connection.
Brilliant. So we're talking time travel and jumping time. So we can go from Mars to Jupiter, as Elena has expressed many times on many of her broadcasts, in a nanosecond. Shame on you, NASA. Nobody believes you anymore. We all know it's a load of old bollocks. You've been holding back the real truth that space travel has been happening for well over 100 years. Elena Danaan, may I come to you, please, my love? Could you please tell everyone watching what Ganymede is, what is the purpose of it, if you have or haven't been there, and also any other current disclosures that you feel are very important to share?
Thank you, Danny. Well, Ganymede is one of the numerous moons of Jupiter. It is the biggest moon, and it is a planet. To give you an idea of the size, it's bigger than Mercury. And Ganymede is, I would say, I like cosmopolitan because cosmopolitan place. It's like it's a neutral zone where a lot of different structures have outposts there, benevolent structures, and there are facilities belonging to different structures, such as far as I know, among them the Council of Five, where I've been, the Galactic Federation of Worlds, the Intergalactic Confederation has an outpost there, and there's other structures. So that's what Ganymede is it's a place of observation, of meeting. That's what it is.
So civilizations coming together to have meetings, brothers and sisters from other planets, other star systems coming to that one place, like a massive convention center, just to simplify things in people's minds.
Yes, and it's near to Jupiter, and in the upper atmosphere of Jupiter, we have this enormous facility that is an outpost of the Ashtar Galactic Command. And this is very secured, very militarized. So only are received there the officials and the high military grades to meet. And that's where the agreements, the now famous Jupiter agreements, were held in this Ashtar facility there. So, and all the other people, and they go to Ganymede.
Beautiful. Before we come to Alex Collier, Elena, you mentioned something there, and it's been a shift and a change and another update in who the different councils, and they don't govern the planet, but the other beings who come together in their support and help for planet Earth. You mentioned the Ashtar Command, you mentioned the Galactic Federation of Worlds, you mentioned the Intergalactic Federation of Worlds, and you mentioned the Council of Five. Can you briefly just break down for people that don't know what each of those extremely important facets are, please?
Yes, so and that will lead me to the latest update. The Galactic Federation of Worlds, it's a federation of cultures that have reached a certain level of technology and consciousness of this galaxy, which we call the Milky Way, which they call Nataru, but it's only this galaxy, Galactic Federation of the Worlds of this galaxy. Okay, Council of Five has been created in the Orion zone, and by different races that were protecting civilizations from the Greys, the Nebu, and they decide to expand their work on the rest of the galaxy. That's for our galaxy. There are so many different groups, so these ones. Then there's a third important group that comes from out of our galaxy, the Intergalactic Confederation. These ones are way older structure, and they are very much more advanced. These ones are have among them the founder races or the seeders. It's 24 cultures who have seeded notably human genome in our galaxy Nataru, starting in the Lyran zone. These ones are back because Earth also was part of the program, and Earth is very special. They really put a lot of work and interest in the mixing the genomes on Earth. They are here to see how the kids are doing, because we are in the process of liberating ourselves. The Galactic Federation and all the military that goes around with the Earth Alliance, the Earth military, they've wiped out the Greys and the reptilians from this star system and defeated the branch of the Dark Fleet that was here. But now humans are about to do the rest of the job, our job, finish the job, and by treating our human problems. The Intergalactic Confederation has arrived a few weeks ago in the star system. They are stationed in the orbit of Jupiter and near Ganymede. Many of them have joined a facility they have there on Ganymede. They came to elaborate a plan for disclosure. Well, I would say contact, civilian open contact. They first evaluated with the Galactic Federation if the Earth was ready for it. Of course, yes, but now they have started ruling speed up disclosure and contact by one. There are two main things that have been decided. First one is more and more shows in our skies, more and more ships are going to be more and more visible to get people used to see them and accustomed to extraterrestrial life. And so that has started. And also the Earth Alliance has been given free, I don't know to say, to disclose all the technologies that are at the moment used and developed with Solar Warden, the space programs, everyone that uses an amazing technologies. Well, this is in the process of being revealed and disclosed on Earth to Earth. So that obviously should have started as well. So that's the latest news, and the Earth has entered a probation period to become member with the Galactic Federation of Worlds. So we are in probation period, and it's great. It's great news. So that's what I have to say for the moment.
Thank you so much, Elena. Alex Collier, my love, what current disclosure information can you give to us, and any current connection with your Andromedan family?
Well, these two other guests of yours are so stellar. I don't know that I have more to add other than never before have more humans seen more swamp gas in our atmosphere, and never before have we seen larger pockets of swamp gas move so fast across our space in our solar system. So there's just so many things going on. One of the things that intrigues me the most, that I am the most excited about, is how subtle the information is being downloaded to humanity. There are so many people who literally were so asleep that they were literally sleepwalking, not having a clue what they were doing in their life, or because they were just so out of it, who are now suddenly looking around for the first time, and they're like, oh my God, everything has changed. Everything is changing. And I think the biggest surprise is that they are really beginning, many of them for the first time, to see the negative and regressive programming that humanity has been under. It's almost like it was a spell, and now it's broken, and they're not only seeing these things for the first time, but they're also understanding that they themselves are now apart from it. They've been separated from it. They're not exactly sure why. They're not exactly sure what they're supposed to do, but they sense the change. They are beginning to feel the shifts in energy. And it's almost as if they're standing on their own 2 feet for the first time. And because they're not sleepwalking, they've now become extremely intuitive observers. It's almost as if a switch has gone off inside of them. And then not only see it, but their intuition is kicking into gear, which is incredible because there are so many remarkable people on this planet from so many different dimensions and so many different realities, that to bring all that knowledge, all that intuition, all that compassion into one place and watch it lock into place in all of humanity is something that I have been hoping to see for the last 30 years. When I first started to talk, that was the goal, was just to wake people up. It was never to be about, the speakers or the A's. It was just like, hey guys, look, how can swamp gas move across the sky at 1,000 miles an hour? How can swamp gas, do 180s? And they're like, well, I'm just like, oh my God. And, and I know Dr. Salla knows exactly what I'm talking about. And I know Elena does as well. It's really good to see people taking a step back and not buying the nonsense.
Absolutely. Alex, I have to say, last night, my friend Ronna Williams, who's a very awake, beautiful woman that I know, she took a photograph of a huge ship sitting over the ocean last night. And so, she's one of many, many, many who are, coming to that awareness more and more, looking out, looking up. You mentioned swamp gas. Can you qualify what you mean, just for those that don't know? And can you also qualify, when you say the A's, can you specify who you're talking about, please? I mean, we know, but others may not know.
Okay. In the 50s and 60s and well into the 70s, I guess, maybe even the 80s, whenever people would see ships or that they would know that they saw something very different, something that normally wasn't there or wasn't supposed to be there, doing tricks in the sky, the CIA and the military would convince everybody it was swamp gas. And that became the narrative. Well, you're just seeing swamp gas.
So insulting to people,
even in Death Valley, what swamps are in Death Valley?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just Arizona. What swamps are in Arizona? So it's just things like that. And so many people were so quick to jump on board and say, yeah, it's just swamp gas. Okay. Even though you're seeing it do tricks in the sky and disappear and then come back, and it's just stuff like that where you just take your common sense and you just tuck it in your pocket and you just leave it there. It's that kind of thing. And when I refer to the A's, I am referring to the Zenithing Andromedans from Fifth Density. We're on a first name basis after all this time, and I just say the A's, or I refer to Morine as M. Visayas always got the full title, but he crossed over in their physicality in 1998. So right now it's mostly been M and his crew, Morine, excuse me. So anyway, that's all I got for now.
Beautiful. And Alex, could you share, please, the last time that you had contact with the protectors who have been with you since before, but certainly since your awareness of being an 8-year-old little boy, where you met with the Andromedan Visayas and the Andromedan Morine?
Oh, okay. Well, your question was, when was the last time that I spoke to them?
I just had a brain fart. That was amazing. Not the first time either. Yeah, sorry, I beg your pardon. When was the last, I know that Visayas has crossed to another plane at this point, but when was the last time that you had actual physical contact with Morine and the crew on the Andromedan ship that you connect with?
Physical was about 18 months ago.
Mm-hmm. You want to share a little bit there? Or?
Oh, I have. I've shared it.
Oh, I know you have, but just in this particular.
No, I'm more interested in the current stat. the current stat and the moves on the surface regarding the minions of the Orion group, the human minions of the Orion group, and the population of the planet. I'm so much more interested in that. And we're down to the last moves, and the beautiful thing, the way that this was structured, the White Hats, AKA the Alliance, they have the last move. So, we're there. We're pretty much there. And that's the part I'm the most excited about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, full liberation.
Because then as Dr. Salla said, many of these technologies that have been stuck in special access programs or black budget aerospace programs, the space, well, we can't call it the secret space program anymore because it's no longer a secret.
Exactly.
So the Space Force, those technologies and things are going to start rolling out. And the interesting thing though is watching this transition of the right leadership coming into play and taking the positions of leadership on the planet to make all these things possible. And to me, that's the very exciting part is to watch all the pieces. It's almost as if you're dealing with a Da Vinci lock, where you have 7 keys and you're watching all the tumblers line up into all the right pieces so that the entire truth for humanity just opens. It'll just open up like this. And there'll be no stopping it. There'll be no ignoring it. There'll be no denial. It's going to be in everyone's face. This is who you are. This is who you were meant to be. This is what it's all about. And, what it comes down to is to each human being, it is now your responsibility to really look and discover what your journey is and has been and where you go from here. And, humanity's journey on this planet, us Terrans, that journey is about to unfold for everyone.
It's just so incredibly exciting. It's beyond, beyond, beyond. And I'm so happy for everyone. It's going to be like Christmas every day. Thank you so much for your input there, Alex Collier. Now, I wanted to bring up another subject that a lot of people are very concerned about. And this is what we are labeling the Saviour Complex. My own concern for our brothers and sisters on the planet is this desperate desire and wait for Jesus to come out of the clouds, for Trump to get back into the White House, for Jehovah to turn up and, take all the good people and kill all the supposed sinners that have sex before marriage or drink or whatever. People are waiting for the quantum financial system, for all of the, foreign currencies to do something incredible. They're waiting for no more lockdowns to happen, but they're still complying. And they're waiting for the med beds to come. I find that greatly disturbing that these poor, beautiful people are so programmed. It's not their fault. We were all programmed the same way to wait for the Savior to come. Dr. Salla, what is your thought and opinion, and what advice could you offer to humanity at this point?
Well, that's been tried in the past and it didn't work. I mean, we do have examples of that. We do have examples of where extraterrestrials did show up in the past, and this was something that led to them being worshipped as gods. I mean, this is the story of ancient Egypt, and that didn't end up too well. And we know that from the law of one material, that this is something that the extraterrestrials understood actually retarded our development. So that happened like 5,000-6,000 years ago. And so this time around, now that we are at the point again of awakening as a society, they have decided that they are not going to openly reveal themselves, that they are going to just help humanity awaken. And they're doing it by contacting many hundreds, even thousands of contactees, researchers, scientists, giving them ideas, opening them up to this new reality. And so what we have is a kind of like a diffusion of the knowledge, of the contacts, of the truth. And so you have many different sources. I mean, Elena and Alex are two wonderful examples of contactees. But there's also many scientists who are getting downloads, who are communicating with the ETs, and they're conscious of that. And they're kind of like sharing this information, and they're helping bring out the technology. And there's researchers, such as myself, that know this is true. And we're all being helped as well. And I think that's because the different positive extraterrestrial groups understand that just having one person or one group come up and lead it all is going to create a kind of this Saviour Complex, and it never turns out well. So, but this way, by having it all diffused, and you have like this grassroots awakening of the information and the knowledge and the truth, then it really is something that's truly organic and democratic. And it's not something that can be easily suppressed by the deep state, by the Orions, by the Draconians, who always look for, a leading figure, or someone that's going to lead the movement, and they can try and compromise them and influence or use them and turn them in some way. But here, because it's a grassroots effort, rather than having, one or half a dozen select people leading the entire global awakening, you have like literally thousands of people with their own YouTube channels, with their own radio shows, putting out their own books that are getting major audiences following them. And that's the awakening. And that's truly an amazing thing, because this is growing, and it's just going to accelerate as more and more people wake up and realize that the state and the establishment media people can't be trusted, that they've been gaslighting people for a long time. And those of us that have been saying, you've been lied to, you've been gaslit for a long time, now all of a sudden we're going to have a lot of people listening to us. But, none of us are going to be the saviors, because there's thousands of us saying the same thing. So this is really just an awakening, and it's democratic, and it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful, exciting time. And again, thank you for making the point that, you and Alex Collier, for example, have been in the field of disclosure and trying to prove reality as it should be proven from birth, really, but it was been so repressed. And, that as people awaken, they're realizing, my God, I'm equal. We're all equal. That's where we're coming. We're coming to this kind of collapsing of separation of mind and thought. And this is the God, this is the person to follow. No. This is self-empowerment. This is self-love. This is self-recognition. It's just absolutely incredible. Thank you, Dr. Salla. Elena, coming to you, the Saviour Complex. What are your thoughts? What can you offer? And any examples of you witnessing this, or just speak from the heart, my love?
Well, I have witnessed a lot. And it is by standing up as equal with the Galactic Federation, it is that we will join us. We will walk in, standing on our feet, entering the Galactic Federation, the greater community. It is not kneeling on our knees, it is by walking in, standing up as equal. That is something that will happen. So what I see every day is that people are so conditioned to give their power away, waiting for something to come and sort out your problems. Whatever this thing is giving your power away, is willingly putting yourself in a passive situation, and you do not do anything. All the psyops that are telling you Jesus is going to come and save you, the good ETs are going to come and save you, the medbeds are going to come, they are going to come, but I mean, don't wait for stuff, or cosmic event is going to sort out all your problems. That is made to take your power away. I start to receive emails with petitions, signed petitions to the good ETs that they come and sort out problems. what is that? I mean, it's again giving your power away. I think it was on November 8th, if I'm not wrong, I received a message from Ardana, who is a high commander in the Galactic Federation. She said to me, give them this message. Tell them that we've done our part of the job. We've removed the reptilians, the Greys, the Dark Fleet. We've done our job. The galactics have been taken care of the alien problems, you know. Now it's up to you humans to do your part of the job, to finish the job. Our good galactic allies are not going to steal the victory from us. It is us to embrace our sovereignty and our victory. So people say, yeah, but we are waiting for all these bad politicians to be arrested. So we are waiting, eating popcorn, and we're waiting. No, that's not the spirit. That's
no
not
waiting.
the thing. You act, and people say, I mean, how can I do? You know, yeah, it's very simple. There's one powerful mantra that can starve them to death and just collapse them by distance, and you can do it. And this mantra, it's a sound, it's no. And that destroys them. No, N-O. Of course, there's also the double meaning K-N-O-W, know yourself, know your power. That's to empower yourself, but no destroys them. Stand up for your rights, and that will do the job if everyone does that. Well, a great amount. Stop feeding the beast. You know, they're panicking. The beast has been beheaded. The evil aliens that were behind all these dark structures, human structures on Earth, they've been removed. So now the humans left, their minions, as you were saying, they're just panicking, and they're just making everyone believe that they are in power. They're not, they're just like shaking, and they're trying to play their last cards, but it's becoming more and more pathetic, you know? So they're showing up themselves. And so don't give your power away by waiting. The med beds, yes, there's a whole plan that is ruled out by the Galactic Federation and other structures to make the med beds available in different places on Earth. But as long as people won't have done their part of the job to stand up against tyranny, it won't be, the med beds won't be ruled out publicly, because, well, if the tyrants are still in place, they're just gonna like blow up the hospitals where they are, you know, they're gonna stop it. So let's do our part of the job. Let's stop waiting, you know. And to close about the med beds, I heard a lot of I heard few stories, and I suppose there are a lot more than what I've heard. Unfortunately, people stopping their treatments. Some people are taking treatments that maintain them alive. And because they are promised the med beds are coming, yes, they are coming, but you know, it's not now in your town. It's taking time. Yes, they stop their treatment and they die, you know?
You know, so, Elena, can I just say something to that? I'm sorry to jump in. You know what really is just honestly devastating and heartbreaking is that people so believe in hope. They so need hope. And one of the reasons why they quit their treatment, because they can't afford the treatment on the planet, because the pharmaceutical evil industry, shame on you guys. That makes me so devastated, lady, that honestly, like you said, so many people have died because they're given hope of the medical beds coming to help them, to heal them, but they're dying before they get there. The tyrannical ones in charge are being taken down. Please continue while I calm myself down.
Listen, Danny, these bodies that we borrow are part of this planet. They are, the minerals in the bones are the same minerals in the rocks of this planet. The blood is made with the same liquids and water and fluids that runs in the rivers of this planet. Everything that made these bodies, these avatars, it's in resonance with this planet. everything we need to heal these bodies, it's available in nature on this planet. We just need to relearn the ancient knowledge of natural medicine. Everything is available. We've been lied to. We've been made believe that we need these pharmaceutical things. No, we don't. Everything is available on Earth, and it's free. So we need to think about that.
We need to remember. We need to remember that everything is free and we are in control and we all have the power together. It's held within all of our hands. Thank you, Elena. Alex Collier, what say you regarding the Saviour Complex, Trump, Jesus, quantum financial system, etc.? What are your thoughts?
I would agree with most of that. I mean, I've been talking for years about people giving their power away, and that this wasn't about the aliens, this was about humanity. There are people stepping up, though, all over the planet, who are absolutely stepping up and not only fighting for humanity, but doing everything in their power to defend humanity. Mm. And, you know, those aren't Christ figures. Those are people just like us. Everyday people, military, soldiers, logistic officers, astronauts, medics, everyday mothers and fathers who find themselves in a role that they never imagined they'd ever be in. In all walks of life, there are people stepping up to do whatever they can to not only defend humanity, but, you know, their drive is to make sure that their children and their children's children are, you know, have a future. They have a home and a place where they can live in freedom. And, you know, for lack of a better word, they find themselves as forefathers and foremothers of a new world that's being born in front of us at this particular time. You know, one of those would be Dr. Salla. One of those is absolutely Miss Elena Danaan. One of those is Miss Henderson as well, and so many others. You know, your Dan Bonginos, your Michael Jacobs, your Tony Rodriguez, David Rodriguez, Laura Eisenhower. All of these people find themselves in these roles where they are not only empowering, but they are also informing humanity as to what's going on to help people catch up. Because when this thing truly unveils itself, these people are going to find themselves in positions of leadership in the way that they can inform others into how to step into their own power. The medbeds are coming. I know they're coming. And they have a tentative launch date. Hopefully that will be met. You know, is there any one person who's going to save humanity? No, that's not possible. That is not possible. You cannot save someone who doesn't want to be saved. They have to want life. They have to want freedom. They have to want to be free. They have to want to know who they are truly on many different levels. And I don't know that everybody wants to do that work, because it's not an easy thing to do, but it is rewarding beyond any definition that's possible. And for those who are willing to do that, those who are doing it, and those who have done that, you know, they're going to be the ones who are remembered as the leaders and founders of the exopolitics movement. One of those, very prominently, is a guest here with you tonight, and that's Dr. Salla. I'm going to embarrass him here for a minute. So ladies and gentlemen, this is my, not only my opinion, but what I know. You know, Dr. Salla is going to be the historian of this entire movement. He doesn't know it yet, but it's coming. And he is going to write so many more books about how this whole thing unfolded, all the pieces and the mechanisms that were split apart and how they all came together at exactly the right time and the right moment to make this whole thing work. And then he will be approached by the actual doers of what's happening here. And he will be taken in as family, and he will share that with all of humanity. So we are blessed to have such a stellar, honorable individual on this dais today with us.
Oh.
Michael, I love you. You're a good man. And, you know, as the kids say, you're the bomb, dude. You're the bomb.
Thebomb.com, Dr. Salla. And you're wearing a Christmas jumper poppet. Oh, Alex, that's beautiful. Dr. Salla, how do you feel? You're such a humble, sweet man too, just like Alex.
Well, it's actually very exciting. I mean, for me, just today, for example, I was going through writing my next book, and I'm reading about the history of this. And I'm looking at people like Gabriel Green in 1959, who was having contacts with the Galactic Confederation. And then he hooks up with someone called Robert Renaud, who was talking about the Corendians and the Galactic Alliance and how they were operating. And they all had a piece of the picture. And people like that have been forgotten.
You're right.
And this is something that I really enjoy, is looking at these people and how they understood that piece of the puzzle and what it is that they had to contribute and why it is important for us to understand what they're doing, what they did, and how it explains the situation we're in now. So I get a lot of joy in doing that. And, you know, I mean, I'm excited by the prospect that I'm going to get some help in the future and maybe access to the archives and find out, okay, well, this is what happened back then, and piece all that together. So that's, and I do that because I want to honor these people and people like Alex too, because a lot of these people, I mean, their lives were just trashed and ridiculed, and I mean, they had such a tough time. And they, all of these people, you know, going back to George Van Tassel and Adamski and Orfeo Angelucci and all of these people, there's a long line of them who were really brave and told the truth, and they were trashed and ridiculed. And one of the things I look forward to is to like bring back what they contributed and say, look, these guys were speaking the truth at a time when it was very, very challenging to do that and to honor them. And so, yeah, I look forward to doing that. And, you know, I don't care how many books I have to write, but I think it'll be a wonderful experience to honor all of these great people and people like Alex, who have been doing this for 30 years. I think it's awesome. So thank you, Alex.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. And, you know, both of you, Dr. Salla and Alex Collier, and I know Elena Danaan will agree, you are legends. And one of the things that I want to point out to any single being on this planet and off planet, these two men in particular, this is the quality of leadership. This is the quality person that gets to be at the forefront, bringing truth and bringing love, not looking for millions of dollars. That doesn't exist in this community. Not looking to be the most famous people in the world. No, these men, they lead with their hearts, and we all can. And it is good to honor them because they're 30 years ahead of all of us in their tough journeys of bringing disclosure, bringing the truth of what really happens on this planet, and that we have brothers and sisters off planet. How beautiful. I salute you all. I seriously do. Thank you so much for sharing your intel and information on what you feel and your concerns about this Saviour Complex. And again, bringing back into alignment the fact that no one single person on this planet should be forcing themselves to follow another person. And that means your husband, your wife, your brother, your sister, your teacher, your rabbi, your preacher, your government, Yeah, local councils and all that bollocks. All those systems are coming down. If the word bollocks offends you, sorry, not sorry. There's so much more that we could say that we're being careful about saying. Up yours, YouTube. Also, we're going to move on now to another extremely important subject, a subject that has come to mind. And before we go there, there's nobody missing in this roundtable, by the way. I personally, Danny Henderson, I like to have just like 1 or 2 people in a roundtable. I think it can be too much to have 6, 8, 10 people sometimes, and it doesn't give everyone a chance to deliver who they be and what they want to share. So nobody's missing here right now. I wanted to go back one step and honor the beautiful Tony Rodriguez. I want to speak first to Tony Rodriguez. Tony Rodriguez, I love you, ma'am. Not only are you drop dead gorgeous with those eyes, Mrs. Rodriguez, you're a very lucky girl. But Tony, honestly, you've brought us such incredible up and down knowledge. You brought us information about your trauma time as a soldier, being taken off planet when you were only 10 years old and didn't give your consent. Your story is mind-blowing. And for people who are just coming to the information of Dr. Salla, Elena, Danaan, Alex Collier, I really feel that Tony Rodriguez is an extremely wonderful A+ example of a little child who was abducted by aliens, by Greys, then ended up not only on off-planet soldier programs that were based with the military on the planet, which has been a known thing for many, many years, make no mistake. But secondly, during his 20 years service that he didn't agree to, he was also involved in a satanic family. He was actually bought by a satanic family. So what that does, someone like Tony Rodriguez is collapsing information of planet abductions, on planet Satanists that all blend together. And Tony Rodriguez has been so brave, so beautiful, so incredible. He's so humble, he's so kind, he's the same quality and caliber as Dr. Salla, Elena Danaan, and Alex Collier. These people, these are, to me, if you want to look at a leader, this is what you're looking at. Humble, kind, and brave. And man, have they all been through something. So Tony Rodriguez, if anybody else wants to say a word about Tony Rodriguez, please speak now.
Well, Danny, when you just said, oh, if someone was missing, I thought about Tony Rodriguez. And I'm happy you said it. Yeah, and simplicity, people who have no ego, people are just normies. Yeah, that's real. That's all I have to say.
And I'll just say, I think Tony is very important because he bridges these 2 different worlds of secret space programs and the satanic practices that have undergirded the deep state and what they've been doing. And he bridges those beautifully so people can get an idea of just how they are deeply connected, that they're not very separate at all. There's a deep connection, and the way Tony described his experiences from antagonizing the son of a deep state Illuminati figure who then arranged for Tony to be abducted by Greys. Right away, you see that there's a connection between these Satanists running the planet with these Orion Greys that are here doing a lot of things for the secret space programs. And of course, Tony's story is an amazing one. And yeah, I think he very important witness.
He really is. And one of the reasons I believe that Tony has full recall of his abduction by Grey aliens at 10 is because he became involved on the planet, handled by military adults and military Satanists. And I believe that's why he's had that bleed through or drip through memory. And Tony, we love you. If anyone wants to see a video on Tony Rodriguez, go to my channel, Danny, Spiritual Therapist. I interviewed him months ago. Go to elenadanaan.org. On her channel, there is also a video. And Alex Collier, I know recently, because I was with you, I brought him over. I dragged Tony Rodriguez over to your table. So you've also met the great man yourself, Alex.
Yeah, my interaction with Tony was just remarkable. And in fact, I had shared a piece of information at the Shasta conference. And one of the things that I had shared was that they had set a trap to grab most of the they had specifically were targeting 19 Orion group extraterrestrials for capture. And, you know, Elena knows about that, obviously. And I said that they wanted these specific 19. And Tony just, you know, out of nowhere said, well, that's probably because they're connected to the AI system. They want to use them to get into the AI system. And he turned out to be exactly right. You know, he turned out to be exactly right. And you know, for those of you who are newbies to this, in the 90s, Dr. Stephen Greer did something called the Disclosure Project, where it was all about the military and about their military interaction with UFOs and things like that. And it was way ahead of its time, and it was phenomenal. And I think it's something, Greer, if you're listening, you should re-release that information today. But I think we need to take that to the next step. And now it's about contactees and those who have had physical interaction, continuous interaction with off-world. So we've gone from the military, the hardware end of it. Now we go to the interaction, the human interaction, and then the spiritual level of what this all means and where it's going and how it's going to shift and mold humanity going forward. I think something like that would be more than appropriate because, you know, this shift and this change in consciousness is about humanity. It's about the soul affecting the physicality and taking it to the next level. And we have all these kids being born today all over the planet who are literally going to take humanity to the next level. So we need to lay some groundwork for them, a very serious foundation, so that as they start to pop their memories, they have pieces to build on, and they understand, you know, what their role is and what their part is. Again, it's about the journey. You know, who am I? You know, I wear this face, but I haven't always worn this face. I have this voice, but I didn't always have this voice. So what is it? What is it, my role? You know, where am I supposed to go with all of this? So I think that that's the next level thing, that it would be beneficial. And Michael, you know, we forgot about somebody when we were talking about those who were lost, and that's Clifford Stone, Sergeant Clifford Stone. He had a remarkable journey. And in talking to a friend, Marilee, he was all but forgotten at the end there. And I think that's an absolute tragedy because so many of them were absolutely forgotten. And yeah, you know, they had everything, including the kitchen sink, thrown at them. So anyway, that's all I have.
Alex, I think that's incredibly important that, again, we turn and we reverse all of the spelling on the planet on so many levels, and that these great leaders, these heroes of a previous time, their work was stomped, they were murdered, they were silenced, they were threatened with death. And I know somebody in particular in this window right here has also been threatened with death for speaking out. And I'm happy this person did not stop speaking out. So I think it's our duty, as we are bringing all of the information we possibly can to our beloved humanity, that we also reclaim the names of the leaders of disclosure from the past, that we honor each and every one of them. Two of my favorites, and I know a lot of you guys too, is Gene Roddenberry and Carl Sagan. Now, everybody fucks up. You know, as a human, that's okay. But these men, I really feel and believe, as I know some of you guys too, that they really left a legacy of even open-minded thinkingness. You know, what do you guys think? Anyone else we can think of from the past you might want to honor right here?
Well, Nikola Tesla.
Oh, God, yeah, that's my boyfriend. Obsessed.
That's your main squeeze, huh?
Yeah, in my dreams, he didn't really date anybody in his lifetime, but you know, I would have gone, hi Tesla. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. I love him. I'm obsessed with him. His technology is brilliant. He got me into the space industry. I worked in the space industry for years. I found the best space scientists, space engineers, software, hardware, telemetry, propulsion, thermal, etc., composites, whatever, because I was so influenced by Tesla. Yeah. Anyway, enough about me. Dr. Salla, what would you like to say, my love?
I think Otis Carr, he's another one of these key people. I mean, he was the one that was given the secrets from Tesla on how to build a spacecraft. And Otis Carr had the vision of creating a civilian spacecraft industry. And this was in the late 1950s, 1960s. He actually developed an operational model, called it the OTC X1. And it was actually flight tested by retired Major Wayne Aho and Ralph Ring, who talked about what happened. And it was a successful flight. So this could have been the beginning of a civilian anti-gravity spacecraft industry using Tesla's ideas and nothing but off-the-shelf material from your local hardware store, that he was able to build that. But he was shut down. The alphabet agencies came in, arrested everyone, set up Otis Carr so that he would be locked away in jail for a few years on trumped up security charges. And people like that who had this great vision and understood Tesla's importance and was guided by Tesla himself to release this information to humanity. People like that are going to be vindicated. And of course, eventually we are going to go down that track of having a civilian spacecraft industry where it's like off the shelf or organic. It's not just going to be, big anti-gravity spacecraft built by Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman and sold for hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars. You're going to have local inventors being able to go to their hardware stores and build stuff using Tesla's principles. And that'll be very important and very exciting. And we owe that, we need to recognize people like Otis Carr and a lot of these inventors after him who did the same thing, maybe in different ways. The guys that did the water, electrolysis of the water to be able to power engines, just using water to create oxygen and hydrogen as a power source. That this was also technology that was developed early on. I believe Tesla was also involved. All of these inventors were shut down. So yeah, there's a lot of people that did incredible things, and terrible things were done to them to silence them. And it's important to keep that in mind.
One quick thing on, sorry, Alex, please go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to say, add to what Dr. Salla was just saying. At the turn of the century, in the 1900s, we had electric cars. And those cars were getting over 1,200 miles on a single charge, ladies and gentlemen. And it was Standard Oil. It was the Rockefellers that came down on that and made sure that didn't get anywhere, and that the oil petroleum industry was going to take center stage. You can research this. But we had electric cars getting 1,200 miles on a single charge. So when everybody looks at, oh my God, Tesla cars, yes, they're beautiful pieces of machinery, but we've actually taken steps back. Okay, and they have everybody thinking that this is the future. They can do a hell of a lot better. In 1912, you can get an electric car on batteries going 1,200 miles. How is it that we can't get one to go more than 300 or 400 miles on a charge? What's wrong with this? So you see, there, as much as we're seeing, they're still withholding technology from humanity, and it has nothing to do with humanity isn't deserving. It's about control and manipulation still. And you have to be aware of that. And the very famous word that was shared earlier by the lovely Miss Danaan, that magic word, no, which every child learns, that's probably their first word is no, how powerful that is. And, you know, we have to stop accepting the crumbs and say, we want the entire loaf of bread. Give us the whole loaf of bread. Stop with the crumbs. And the sooner we do that, the sooner we let them remind them that we, the people, are in charge. You know, that all this happens because of us. We can get things done. So, okay, that's it.
You're absolutely right. And again, you know, Tesla is one of the greats of our time, and again, was repressed. You know, part of his technology was not only did he figure out how to harness natural electricity, which would have powered up the entire frigging planet for free. It was the greedy bastards that decided that they were going to make people pay for that, lighting up their lives. You know, that's disgraceful and coming to light. But also he created and invented Wi-Fi. People like Marconi, who was given the credit for creating RF frequency, radio technology. Marconi used 9 of Nikola Tesla's patents in order to get a signal from America to England. So this dreadful dishonoring of these great, I know I can't, I've got to control myself here because I do go a bit, you know, but I don't care. I don't fucking care. I'm sick and tired of the fuckwits running my fucking planet, you fuckers. Your time is up, you're fucking done, and fuck you. So many people have died, have been murdered, have been raped, have been taken because of their brilliant brains, their hearts and their souls. And it is an absolute disgrace. It stops. It's already stopped. It's already stopped. You motherfuckers. Oh, you tried to run to Mars. How did that work out? Ding dong. The witch is dead. What happened was you tried to run to Mars. You tried to fucking jab every person on the planet. You thought everyone was going to die, but we didn't because we're stronger. Stick it up your ass. What happened when you got to Mars? Oh, there were people waiting for you. What happened when you tried to get in all the jump rooms, eh? How'd that work out? Didn't, did it? Didn't. Now, I want to talk about the electric car company in London a few years ago. A perfect example of the fuckery on my planet, on your planet, on our planet. In London, there was an electric car company. I was recruiting for them. They were amazing. Little motorbikes, little cars. It was so perfect. There were 2 lords. Lords, ooh, aristocracy, the gentry, the multi-gazillionaires at the very, very top. 2 actual real-life, long-term family lords. And you know, all these 2 men needed was £25,000 in money to save their little company. I'm standing there with the person that was mediating between the 2 lords because he knew them. And I'm thinking, shit, I've got 12 grand in my bank. I could give it to them. They were crying. These men were crying. They were begging. And do you know what happened? Lord so-and-so, Lord A and Lord B, they were in a pissing contest together. And do you know what happened? Either of them could have saved that electric London car company 20 years ago. We would have had electric cars 20 years ago, no problem, all sorted out. But the 2 lords, they got bored. Time to go for tiffin. Is it tea time? Is it champagne time? Is it shagging time? And do you know what they did? They ruined those 2 men, and one of them killed himself. And this happens all over the frigging world. These ideas come out to help humanity. But the fucktards who've been running my planet, your planet, our planet for so long, they all get taken down. They take the people down. No more. I am a red hot white poker and I don't care because I love my family so much. I love my human family so much. The people of this planet, you are so beautiful. You are so clever. You are so worthy. And just because some fuckwit told you that you weren't, they were wrong. You're amazing. You're love and you matter and your voice matters. And that's it. I have spoken.
Miss Henderson, I wish you wouldn't suppress your feelings.
Bit of a problem.
I wish you would tell us exactly what you did.
I know, but we're in such a point now. We're in such a tipping point, and we can't hold back anymore. And it isn't about, please, people out there, don't go mad and say fuck this and fuck that, because it isn't the prettiest thing in the world to see. But just sometimes you just got to let go. You just got to tell the truth, and you just got to just open your heart, but maybe this will trigger something in someone, not to incite violence. And I do mean that. As loud and sweary as I am, guys, please, we raise in love. We rise in love. We don't rise in violence. We're allowed to get upset because of the terrible things that have happened. But smart people, they rise up in love. Okay, now to our next subject. Yes. Our next subject is the Trojan Horse. And this is a very, very important subject. Now, the Trojan Horse, I'm going to explain it to people that haven't heard of it, and then I'm going to start with Dr. Salla and get his thoughts on it. So there have been leaders across our planet for a very long time, and they started out really, really good, so good. They had so many followers. And we've had some very other recent leaders on a much smaller level, but with such an influence. And what's been happening and what's been coming to light is that these leaders get this following, and they're very excited, and it's really great, and they're sharing information about the great of humanity. And unbeknown to them, there has been a program inserted into their mind by whoever, by dark state, deep state, nefarious people, humans or off-planet beings. And suddenly, as this person is really lovely, really benevolent, really kind, charging along, gathering this following, and the program hits play. Somebody presses play, and the Trojan horse is open, and the infiltration comes in. And you are seeing it, and you will see it. You will see it in people that you think are the people to follow for whatever reason, in whatever guise, and you'll recognize that something's not quite right. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. Dr. Salla, what say you about the Trojan horse memory inserts or memory programming?
The way the deep state and the negative extraterrestrials have been able to manipulate our planet for many decades, that they are able to help very charismatic people get into these positions of power. And at the beginning, these people, if you look at someone like Bill Clinton, or you look at someone like Barack Obama, at the very beginning, very idealistic, very articulate, very charismatic. People just love them, love being in their field and just like being with them. But then once they get into power, then the programming sets in. I mean, however they've been compromised, was just straight up blackmail, whether it's mind control, but they're compromised. That they are really Trojan horses, and so then they become black agents, if you like, or they become used for these very dark, sinister forces. Deep state, the Orion Greys, and this is, I think, the pattern for many, many successful people. Whether we're talking politics, whether we're talking in the music industry, in the entertainment industry, media, so they are put in the positions of power. And once they're identified as having certain skills and someone that can be turned, then they are turned. Or maybe at the very beginning, they are pushed into those positions. There's the deep state does a lot of work in psychological profiling people from a very young age, and they know who they can control, what they need to do to kind of like push that person into a position of power, and then they know what buttons to push to get them to just like be their puppets. So yeah, the Trojan horses, that's something we all have to be very wary of, and we need to be very incredibly discerning and very careful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Elena.
Well, I totally agree with Dr. Salla on everything. What I witnessed myself, and I've been also confirmed and explained upstairs, is that, it has been a temporal war. So the enemy also knows what's going to happen, what's going to unfold. So they send back in times Trojan horses to mess up the victory or the timeline. They knew they couldn't stop the awakening of the Terran people. So maybe they can just hijack it or try to, bring it sideways or confuse people. Also with information, when you cannot stop a truth that is going to come out and you cannot stop that process, you can maybe spread confusion to alter this truth, and then people will stop believing in anything. That's something they can do. So I've witnessed the same always process. They take someone, genuine, a victim, a child, often, that they're going to really deprogram of their personality. So there are many different, processes. Montauk is one of them. There are different techniques, and insert a program. And this person can spend years and years and years off-world serving as a slave and brought back. That happens as well. It can be also just someone abducted by the wrong people. So, and this is a mind programming. A mind programming, you cannot scan it. You cannot, there isn't any device for it. It's just a mind programming. So nobody can see it until the clock just switches, and then you see it. So always it's gaining audience and trust by giving true information, by giving facts that are all verifiable, so they gain trust. And once the trust and the following is strong and people follow blindly these people, then the program just switches on. It's going to slowly turn. It's the same narrative. The ego will go, of course, in the process very developed, but it is doom and gloom. It is something is going to happen that's going to save you. So wait for it, things like this. And no, it's not true. We haven't won and the enemy is still here. Be depressed, do not have hope, etc. That is the kind of narrative that comes. That's Trojan horses, because out of nowhere, suddenly people you trusted blindly just change, and you go, wow, but they keep an eye upstairs, so we're good.
Absolutely. Alex, what are your thoughts on Trojan horses and mind programs that may never be picked up until the moment of release?
Well, Trojan horses are failure points. They're built in. If your goal is to create a race of leaders, then there are no failure points. Because even if you do have a failure point, it will just fall to the side by itself until it's corrected, because everyone is a leader and they think like a leader, and therefore they continue to march and they continue to move forward. And what happens is that one failure point or two failure points, they find themselves alone, and then suddenly they will break their programming because they want to be where they're supposed to be, which is with the rest of humanity. So, the A's understood this, which is why, something that's in the book, it's called Leadership, that was given to me by Mornay, is that the goal is to create a race of leaders. And then you don't have failure points. What you have are people who fall by the wayside, but eventually get back up and still become leaders. It doesn't stop anything from moving. It doesn't stop the energy from moving forward. It doesn't stop the energy from building. It doesn't stop the energy or the frequency from achieving its full potential and moving towards it consistently and always, generation after generation, because everyone is trained or raised to be a leader and not to give their power away. And in that, everyone comes together naturally, cohesively, holistically, because they all want the same goal. And therefore, everyone finds their place and they take on the roles they think that they're comfortable with, and humanity moves in that direction. The way it is now, you know, when you're following the masses, sometimes the M is silent. And you have to be careful there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
beautiful. Very, very important. Guys, watching out there, you also witnessed a program playing out in front of you right now. When I was appearing to lose my shit, of course, I reined myself in, but I'm not sorry for having passion and love for all of you out there. Neither do my friends in the screen here either. Now, we are programmed from children. Don't say fuck, don't speak out, don't be a show off, don't cause attention. I welcome you to do the very opposite. Don't ever rise in violence. Rise in love, rise in passion. But as you will notice that there are people out there that will be like, oh my God, that was Dr. Salla. She said fuck in front of Dr. Salla. He is not a glass vessel. He is a man with a pulse and a heartbeat and a passion for you guys. Alex Collier pretty much swears more than anyone else I know, including Elena. Right?
well, you know, you're right. We're taught to color inside the lines.
Yeah.
You know, but the reality is the fun part, the off the charts part, the real true creative part is outside the lines.
Totally.
Is to start coloring outside the lines, because then you can do what you feel, what you want to do.
Yeah.
You're passionate about, as long as it doesn't harm someone else.
100%. 100%. And pushing through the boundaries and pushing through the programs is right now everything, you guys, everything. Okay. I'm going to bring this into another area that we've all discussed. Now, Dr. Salla, you in particular, because this is really where you shine. I mean, you shine in many areas, but you so shine in this area. And that is the secret space program, the soldiers, the intel on and off planet, the military, etc. There are clearly more and more military personnel finding you, coming to you, and sharing with you their deepest intel, because they know it should never have been held from humanity. They know it's wrong, and they are coming to you. So more soldiers are sharing intel. They're hiding themselves on screen, but really they are sharing the things that Elena and Alex have been sharing about the views from Ganymede, the views over Jupiter, the views over Uranus. What would you say to people in such positions that have been so frightened to come out or even gather their memories together? What advice would you give them in sharing potentially?
Well, what we've witnessed over the last few years is there's been a major shift in the way these space programs have been run. I mean, with the creation of Space Force and Space Command, what you've had is a dedicated military space service set up where people that do these missions in space, they can have that work recognized, put on their records, and it can be used for them, you know, getting promotions, getting, retirement benefits, so that kind of recognition. Whereas previously, people who served in those programs for 20 years or more, their memories were wiped and all of the official records were removed. So, you know, that's a big difference. So right now what we're having is that there's a lot of military personnel who are going out into space, going to Ganymede, going to Ceres, going to the other moons of Jupiter or Saturn or Uranus, that these personnel, when they come back, they're still doing memory wipes, but you know, the mind control, the MK Ultra programming isn't there. The memory wipes don't always work. Many of them are remembering, and they're not being killed. They're not being kind of shut off. They're being allowed to come forward, because the white hats and the black hats, if you like, I mean, right now they're at a kind of like an equilibrium in terms of like their relative strengths. Even though the white hats are slowly winning, the black hats still are able to stop a lot of the truth from coming out right now. but in that kind of struggle, a lot of these people in the military have the latitude to come forward and start talking about it. So this source I have, JP, who's working with the US Army, he's one of many. There are others that want to come forward. And so he's trying to get them to come forward. And that's what I'm looking forward to now, is that rather than retired personnel, what happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we're going to have a lot more people like JP saying, well, this is what's happening right now on Ganymede. That the US Army and the Air Force and the Navy, that they have troops up there and they're being helped by French and they're being helped by the Russians. And so we get a picture of what's happening right now, because the system has changed, because this military system that has been put in place to oversee the development of a multinational space program, it's something where these records are going to be made available, or at least this is information that's going to be shared down the track. So that's very exciting. And yeah, it's going to be incredible as more and more of these soldiers.
Does anybody else see the, you guys? Yeah, can you, are we freezing up on the screens here, guys? Can you just confirm?
No, we're okay.
Okay, because I'm getting interference my end probably from the alphabety spaghetti morons. But I'm sure that what you shared there, Dr. Salla, was beautifully expressed, and of course will be heard, never to be stopped by the wrong personnel. That's beautiful. Elena, would you like to add anything else to the intel that is coming via different types of people, those who may have had abductee or non experiences? Can you guys hear me okay? Because you've all frozen right now.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. All right.
What do you want me to talk about, Danny?
So people come to you, they're revealing their stories, they're revealing their actual real life contact. What would you say to those? Like for Dr. Salla here, there are more undercover soldiers coming forward, sharing their stories about the wrongdoings of the military and the governing bodies. In terms of the, alien disclosure, people who've had their experiences, what would you say to them in allowing them or inviting them to come forward and share their stories?
Well, I would tell to everyone who are convinced they have had with off-world or with extraterrestrials to come forward and speak, because if everybody speak, they can't kill everyone. I mean, like, the men in black are not going to come at the door of everyone. I mean, stop, that's finished to fear anything.
You're done.
Speak. Now, also something, when there are two types of people, and you need to be sure yourself of if you have really had an experience. When you're in the military, there's no problem. I mean, you were there physically, you are doing things physically, there's no questioning. But when you have been abducted physically and you have physical memories, there's no questioning. When it comes a little bit tricky is when people think they have been abducted or think they may have lived things, but they're not sure. They do not have vivid memories, and they're going to go through hypnosis or things like this. And then there's a danger when the emotional and sometimes, many things can happen. You can be tricked. So Tony Rodriguez has a very good program on his website to help people remembering without hypnosis, just vivid memories. And I think it's excellent. Check it out. If you have physical, real memories, like Alex, like myself, like other people, speak out. Don't be scared. It's now. Time is now. Contact Dr. Salla. if you have been in the military and you've been off-world and involved in programs, do not be scared to talk. It's now. Things are being lifted. Disclosure is here.
Yes.
Contact is soon.
Yes.
I mean, it's now.
It's
so,
happening.
Speak out, do videos, you know, and contact us, and we can try to help you.
Absolutely. It's happening now. Disclosure is happening right now on every level, in every way. And it has been for a while, but now there's more of an awareness in all of us, thanks to you guys. Alex Collier, what would you like to say? Any suggestions to people who have had or believe they have often on planet experiences?
I'll address that in a sec. You know, Michael, you bring up a really good point about the soldiers, and Elena, you do as well. You know, these soldiers, these military personnel, you know, they're people that grew up in our neighborhoods. These are people who have family in our neighborhoods. These are people who went to school with some of our kids, or kids of our friends of our kids. You know, when they start to talk and share what they know, this is a very ground level organic disclosure. And if you want critical mass to occur, you let this flourish, because when it starts with the people, there is no stopping it. You know, the media in the 50s and the 60s and the 80s and the 90s, you know, there were just a few of us speaking, so it was easier for them to shut it down. But when it's across the entire world on a grassroots level, Elena's right. You know, there's no way to shut it down. They're not going to kill everyone. You know, and at this point, they're basically looking for a place to hide themselves, the deep state. So, you know, this will happen. And I think that this is why the White Hats, or the new leadership of these programs, is allowing this, because they are fully consciously aware, especially if they're continuously looking at Looking Glass or using Looking Glass. You know, they can see that when this comes from the people, it happens. That's the 100th monkey syndrome, you know, where at some point you reach critical mass and then everybody knows, everybody realizes, everybody has that epiphany, that aha moment. And Michael, you might need to hire a secretary. There are going to be so many people wanting to talk to you. I've been doing one-on-ones for just over a month, and in truth, when we did this, I didn't think anybody would do it. But what I'm finding is that there are many people who have had experiences that just want some type of validation. They want to know that they're not crazy, you know, that they've had these experiences and that someone understands. And you know, it's absolutely remarkable. You know, there's so many of us that just, you know, people have been afraid or shut down. You know, if you remember back when I first started talking, Morane told me that there were 4 of us that they were in contact with, Morane and Facekas. And I don't know who the 2 were. I did have communication with one of them who was down in Argentina for a while. And it was his family and his church that shut him down. And he couldn't and wouldn't come forward, which only left me.
Thank God.
You know, and then I sort of got stuck, you know, then I couldn't back down, you know, even though there were times I wanted to walk away because of just everything. But there are many who are in a very similar position that have remarkable experiences and knowledge that want to come forward and share their story in a way where they can walk away feeling not only empowered, but knowing that they did the right thing. So there's more of us than we realize.
Definitely, definitely. And they need to know they're in a safe place. No one's going to think you're crazy anymore. Just don't make stuff up. Be honest. Don't make it up. And if anyone thinks they're going to be mega famous at this point by bringing their stories forward, maybe don't bring them forward, because no one's got time for that. No one's got time for ego.
You know, getting back to the Trojan horse thing, many of these people had handlers. Some of them had 3 or 4 handlers. And, you know, it was the handlers that would do the triggering. They would know the phrases. They would know what to say, when to say it, that would trigger a specific behavior. So it's complicated. The whole thing is so complicated. But, you know, once it really begins to roll out, humanity will get it. They'll figure it out. There are a lot of people who are very, very street smart, that have an incredible depth of common sense. You just don't know it. You don't see them. They're not standing out in front. They're behind the scenes watching everything that's going on. And they move very deliberately because they're very careful, because they just have this innate sense of what to do, when to do it. They're very, very savvy. And I'm incredibly encouraged that these people exist, and they are very carefully watching from behind the scenes and from the sidelines everything that's going on, because at some point when they make their move into the equation, this thing is going to turn on a dime, literally going to turn on a dime, and it's really, really exciting. And you know, I'm glad there's people like you, Danny, and Elena, Danaan, and Professor Salla, you know, and Angelica is too. You know, she has a very large role that she plays here in the background, and others. You know, everyone who's on the front lines now. That all of these people here, I think there is a real good structure in place to make sure that this doesn't get shut down again, that it continues to move and build in power and strength and in knowledge. And it's a good thing. It wasn't there 30 years ago. I can tell you that. It was like a ghost town.
Absolutely.
And we were the ghosts.
Bless your heart. Alex, honestly, I know that everybody watching this that knows you, knows your work, would say the exact same thing to you. Like, thank goodness you're here, and you didn't shut down like the other 3 people, and you just kept on going. I know you're shy, and I know sometimes you're like, well, Danny, stop saying that, but I can't help it.
Yeah, stop saying that.
Okay, I'm not gonna. All right. Darling, you're just amazing. We love you so much. You're so loved, Alex Collier. You are so, so loved. Thank you for sharing everything there. I want to address one thing, guys. I want to address something about numbers. As the programs, the Trojan Horse programs are coming into effect, so too are the stories from sacred documents, the Bible, different prophecies that some people are discovering. One such prophecy is, and I'm not here to insult anybody or name anybody, and I won't do that, but somebody, not just someone, many people are saying the 144,000. I'm going to give my opinion on the number 144,000. Guys, if you are waiting, or if you think that there are only 144,000 people needed on the planet to awaken, well, there are 3 people on the screen here, and between them, I think they've got close to over 300,000, if not more, followers and subscribers. Like, hello, it's already happened. So if we're waiting for the 144,000 people, individual people, to wake up, like, it's already happened. We're way past that. Way past that. Does anybody have anything to say on the 144,000 or any other of the urban myths that are coming into play as programs right now, so we can really help our brothers and our sisters?
Well, it's part of the psyops from the counterintelligence and the enemy to take old myths, old Earth myths, and prediction and twist them around, and also take ascended masters' names and create dependence and fake cults and fake, waiting Saviour Complex. Here we go. And for 144,000, it's part of it. It's to, once again, take the power away from the people. Just wait, no, don't. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's an element of I'm a chosen one. I'm one of the 144,000.
Yeah.
What about everybody else? That's the other thing. What's about everybody else? There are these horrible psyops, psychological operations created by the alphabety spaghetti losers that run these agencies that don't serve any of us, who are dropping this intel. It's not intel, it's all bullshit, where you go, oh my God, I'm going to get left behind. Oh my God, my whole family are going to die. Oh my God, enough now. Dr. Salla, is there anything that comes to mind for you in particular in that realm of psychological operations that are designed right now to frighten humanity?
Well, it's about information control. It's about how do you get 7 billion people to be fed the propaganda or the information that you want them to take in. And so that's where you have your mainstream media, kind of like being the mouthpieces and being controlled by the major corporations and the deep state. But what's happened over the last 10 years is that there's been this evolution where you have the alternative media coming forward. And that's where we have anyone who has a vision, who has some ideas, creates a YouTube channel or creates a podcast or creates some show on one of these alternative medias, and they get followings. They get like 10,000, 50, 100, 200, 1 million. And this is happening all over the world in every country. And so what you have here is a phenomenon where now people are getting their information not from the mainstream media anymore, but they're getting it from all of these alternative channels and all of these alternative podcasts that have been created that's organic. And it's not a matter of, 144,000 ascended masters suddenly showing up and saving us. It's because it's happening all around us. It's like all of these people who have a vision, who have some ideas, create a show and just put the information out there, and people come and get their kind of diet of information from the alternative media. And that's why in the last few years they've tried so desperately to crack down on fake news and focus on the alternative media, because the alternative media it wasn't just threatening the mainstream media, it was also threatening the way in which the deep state operates and the mind control and the kind of magic that they exercise through the mainstream media, through the entertainment industry. Because, if you think about it, if people are going to entertainment or get the information from YouTube videos made from these home studios and organically, no one's going to go to the major movies anymore, get their programming from the latest Disney or the Weinstein production or whatever it is, putting out all the propaganda. So yeah, to me, that's the big shift as a civilization is that we've had this alternative media, and it can't be stopped. The censorship that's been put in place is all designed to stop this from happening, but it just slows it down. But you can't stop it because one is going to the mainstream or their major news as hard as they're trying to go and subscribe to the New York Times or to the Washington Post. People don't trust them.
That's right. You were breaking up there. Every time you talk about something that's majorly important, which all of this obviously intel right here is, on my end, you're getting like slowed down. I just want to say about the Ascended Masters, if any one of those Ascended Masters walks in my front door right now, they're going to get the biggest boot up the arse from me. The biggest boot up the arse. Where were you? Like, where were you when the COVID bollocks started and all these people started getting put into camps and all this kind of global Holocaust started taking place? Like, we're not having any of that right now. Mr. Alex Collier, my darling sweet friend, can you add anything to any of the urban myths, the legends, the 144,000, anything that you would like to share with us, or just any thought really you have at this moment in time?
Well, we don't know true history. It's been rewritten, whitewashed, censored. We don't know. And I, in regarding the 144,000 and all of that, if you were to take today's King James Bible and compare it to the oldest known Bible, which I think is the Sinai Bible in Egypt, you would find that in the Old Testament and the New Testament combined, there are over 15,000 major discrepancies.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, and I mean major discrepancies. So, do you believe what you're being told now, or do you go back as close as possible to the source of the original information? If you have an IQ at all, you already know the answer to that. I brought this up once in the 70s with Visayas about ascended masters. And I will never forget the look on his face. And his attitude was, now here's somebody who was over 4,000 years old, was an emissary for fifth dimensional Zenitaean Andromedans. He knew everybody and had been virtually everywhere. And his attitude was that to call anyone a master is to imply they know everything. And Visayas said that's impossible. So I would say to everyone, your soul is multidimensional. It wasn't born and hatched on earth in the body that you're wearing now. You have all had other experiences. And when you're in spirit, in your soul body, time is not linear. In fact, it virtually doesn't exist the way we even think it does. Okay, you can go past, present, or future. So, that which you're seeking, you already are. You just don't remember at the moment, that's all. So whatever information anyone gives you, it's meant to be a guide. It's meant to trigger questions, so that you yourself, through voluntary introspection, can try to find that information and those answers within yourself. The goal of experiencing any physicality is to experience physicality and all of the lessons that it entails, so that you can remember who you are. Earth just happens to be, third density happens to be a very, very difficult school, because you come in with amnesia. You basically have to learn to swim every lifetime, which is a huge pain in the ass, especially when you knew the last time how to swim. So, I get that, but, that's what it is. We just, I personally think we're all masters. We're just we're at very different levels and degrees of remembrance. But I think ultimately we are all masters in our own way, if that's even an appropriate title. A master. I've always been uncomfortable with that. Sage is probably a better word. We are all sages. So, okay, that's all I got.
Beautiful. Well, guys, there are so many subjects that we could continue discussing. We could get into the school systems, encourage parents to take the kids out of school, start their own schools. We could go into everyone with a message here, start your own YouTube channel or other channel, start putting information out like, if you think you're going to be famous, please don't bother doing that. It's not about being famous. The old paradigms of dead and dying. This is about love now. I feel that we've covered so many really important areas, the three of you sharing, that maybe it's time to bring this particular roundtable to a close at this time. And I want to go round, starting with you, Dr. Salla. If there's anything that you would love to share finally, anything that you need to say from your heart to humanity, please go ahead.
I think what I'd like to kind of like just present to people is that you envisaging a positive future and having enthusiasm for that, that you help create that. You know, that we do have this ability to manifest our future. And this is a time where we need to really start doing that individually and collectively, because right now, all over the planet, you know, we have so much propaganda, so much gaslighting going on to kind of like get us to think small, to kind of like start fighting each other, and to kind of like get caught up in petty survival issues, because this is the last play of the dark forces. And the way to fight is to kind of think big and think positive and have enthusiasm for the future and embrace a positive future and speak with enthusiasm, speak from your joy about this future that you know, you resonate with information that Alex and Elena and Danny has shared. If you resonate with any of that, talk to your friends about it, you know, recommend the videos, subscribe to the channels, and that's how you change things. And this is not the time to be passive and sit back. This is the time to be active, put out your vision and spread it to people, because this is when there are so many forces out there looking at us. And as more and more people share this vision of what they would like, this kind of like Star Trek future, this us becoming a galactic society, as more and more people embrace that and start talking about that, the galactics kind of like answer, and they come in and they help us manifest that vision.
That's beautiful. Dr. Salla, thank you so much. I'll put your details under this broadcast. And Sir, you are a true joy, a true honor. And I love you. And I know so many people love and thank you for everything that you have done and everything that you do. And we love your Christmas jumper, darling.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, my love. Elena, Danaan.
Well, can you hear me well?
Yes, darling.
Yes. Well, a great man whom I met last year, off-world, told me we cannot liberate a slave who holds on to his chains. This man was Commander Valthor. Recently, I had this message from High Commander Ardana, who said to me, "We've done our job. Now it is time that you embrace your own victory. We are not stealing from you your own victory. It's time now you finish the job." Being passive, being fearful means being influenced and mind controlled. Stand up for what you know is right to you, to your health, to the well-being of people around you, to the well-being of this planet and of this culture, of this civilization, of this species. Act, and sometimes action can take millions of shapes, you know. Action sometimes is just standing up and say no to what you consider is wrong. Say no, and sometimes saying no, it's the most difficult thing to say as an adult, because it's like a threshold. It's a portal, a gate. But I can assure you, from someone who was so scared to say no to anyone by fear to upset anyone, Well, when you start to say no, the first time it's very hard. You're like trembling, shaking, you sweat and oh my God, I'm going to upset this person. You say no. And when you say no and you stand in your sovereignty, no, I don't want to do this. You know what happens? The other person is going to respect you and go, wow, okay, fair enough. And you go, wow, that was it. And then you start to understand that, yeah, as long as you affirm your opinion, people start to respect you and you really stand in your power. It's the first step is not easy, but once you've done it, you will be surprised. Once you taste the flavor of your own power, it's very addictive. So make the first step, humans. Promise you, it works.
Elena, thank you so much, mate. And thank you for everything you've done thus far. Thank you for the books that you've written and delivered to humanity. Thank you for being there every week. Thank you for living in friggin' Ireland and getting online in America at 2 and 3 in the morning on a consistent basis for the last 2 years, my love. Your commitment to your brothers and sisters is phenomenal. And we applaud you. We applaud you, mate. We applaud you. We really do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, darling. Sorry. Sorry, Alex. That's because you're naughty. That's because you always make me laugh. Alex, every time I think about you, I laugh anyway in my head. I beg your pardon. Alex Collier, darling man, what would you like to share with your brothers and sisters watching you out there?
The rules we've been living under were rules created by those who had a specific intent to enslave. And we have all tried to live by those rules and paint, I'm going to use this example again, paint inside the lines. Well, those lines have limited us and continue to limit us because they were designed to. It's time to begin to paint outside the lines, to unleash your creativity, your own passion, and your ability to create what it is that you want. You know, so much of life is made, so many decisions are made in between major events of our life. And those little tiny decisions that we make every day do, in fact, create and bridge those things that we now call our life. And especially when you're not clear about what you want, those things can keep things very stuck or in a very similar routine all the time. But the fact of the matter is that life is a roller coaster. And do you have the fortitude to continue to live life on a roller coaster? And if you want to get off that roller coaster, well, then you have to change the way you think about your life and the way that you see yourself. The most important thing is to actually know what you want. And these last few lifetimes, for all of us, have offered a great deal of contrast. And if you just look at this life and everything that's being revealed now, and you look at the control mechanisms and the children and what's been going on underground and the psyop, the mental manipulation, if you can't break free from that, if you can't make that decision regarding that contrast to move towards something that you want, that's full of love, joy, passion, freedom, understanding, compassion, brilliance, authenticity, then I don't know what to say. I simply don't know what to say other than life itself is a current of energy. It's a river of energy. And at some point, in some year, you're going to find yourself, whether you're kicking and screaming or not, on the shore, looking up at the sun, and you're going to realize that life dragged you to where you needed to be anyway. And at that point, when that realization comes to you, you're going to have to start over in that moment. Or you can start right now. You can make that decision right now, and you can start rebuilding your life and taking full responsibility for it right now. So that those years down the road, as we all move down that current that life takes us, and you see those other people standing on the shoreline, you will be in a position to help them. You won't be lost like they are. You will be versed, you will be empowered, and you will have the knowledge that you need to help teach others to be self-empowered. And together we can create a race of leadership where there is no failure point for humanity. It's tough. It's tough. It's not easy. But you know, if it was easy, everybody would be here, and they're not.
Guys, I don't know whether you realize, because of your humble and because of your kindness and because of the suffering that you've all endured in different ways, to be here right now and standing as leaders of light, but leaders of love. And that is such a quantifiable quantum jump difference that I really hope people that watch this broadcast really come to understand. That as much as we laugh and we joke and we swear and we scream and we get impassioned about things, when it comes down to it, that self-love, that self-leadership, that self-awareness at this point of the ascension of this planet that we're on is so important. Personal love, self-love, valuation of self, worthiness of self, love of others, not being under the wing of anyone, not being in the shadow of anyone. That's not what it's about. Once we realize how absolutely magical we are as individual beings, oh my God, oh my goodness, oh my gracious, oh my gracious. Well, you three, I'm glad to call you and happy to call you my personal friends. I love you three so much. Oh my gosh, I love you so much. I'm so honored that the work you've done is leaving and bringing and has been such an impact on our planet for so many beautiful people to start finding more awareness for themselves, to bring to themselves. I thank you all out there in the world, on planet and off planet, because a lot of you buggers upstairs are watching these broadcasts. Hello, Andromeda. Hello, ladies. I know Elena and I were laughing about stuff the other day. Yeah, go ahead, Elena.
No, there someone is connected and listening. He always listens to what I say, and yeah, you're right.
Would that someone like to say anything at this moment in time for his cheeky self, his cheeky self listening in? Thorhan, we're calling you out, Mr. Pleiadian man. Would he like to pass a message?
Well, he's on Jupiter at the moment, and he very quickly connects because it's difficult from there. I don't know. Something. You're doing a great job, humanity. We are very proud of you. Please continue. No, it doesn't say anything else.
That's beautiful.
It's an open channel communication, so there's a lot of people listening too. So that's not easy.
Yeah, understood. And we're very grateful. We're very grateful. We know you're not the gods. You're not the gods. You're not in charge. You're just here to support as we support you too, and bringing this beautiful, beautiful awareness of everything together at this time. Dr. Michael Salla, thank you so much, sir, for attending. You're just beloved to so many of us, and thank you for continuing to be there.
Thank you, Danny, for making this happen. Very much appreciate you being the conductor and weaving our different instruments together into a very beautiful symphony.
Oh, that's lovely. My pleasure, darling. Elena, Danaan.
There's something I want to say, and I see, will I not? Okay. Michael, your beautiful jumper really reminds me of Star Trek Next Generation uniforms. And it's the same. And we are the new generation, all of us here, and so many others to take this earth into the next step. So I wanted to just mention it. Remind me that.
Thank you.
Oh, that's great. So Elena, thank you again so much for being here. Put all your details underneath, and yeah, thank you. I don't know what else to say other than thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your love on a continuous basis, and you're just beautiful, and you are so deeply loved, Elena.
Well, it's likewise too. We are doing this, all of us, because we love you, humanity. We wouldn't otherwise. It's, you know, I love always.
Yeah, you do. You love always. Thank you, my love, for being here. Alex Collier. May.
Michael, I look forward to seeing the rest of your wardrobe.
I love that jumper. You love that jumper. Yeah. You naughty man, Alex. Naughty.
Oh, no, there's nothing I can add to what Michael said and Elena. Danny, you're great. You're wonderful. You're always a hoot. And we all appreciate you.
Thank you.
We do. And, you know, to everyone who listens to this, God bless you. Have faith in yourself, have faith in others, and we will get there. We will definitely get there. And Collier signing off.
Collier signing off. Oh my goodness, guys, thank you so much for watching. You know, these people here, myself included, we send you so much love from our hearts to your hearts. We hope that you will find a way through to lift yourself up out of the stress and the sadness that you may currently find yourself in. Don't give up hope on yourself. You're beautiful, you're worthy, you're valuable. Of course you are. If you weren't, you'd be dead, but you're here right now. So why don't we all get together and all play together and all enjoy and raise up in love and vibration, pick each other up, not one cold person, not one homeless person, and not one hungry person. Guys, this is how the world is supposed to be. I am Danny Henderson, spiritual therapist. I send my love to you, and I see you all soon.